Okay, so I want to talk about what happens when you start following your intuition in life. This is completely improvised. First, I wanted to make a video about social anxiety and how to heal it, and it didn't feel right. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't make a video, but I feel excited about talking to my phone right now, so I'm gonna try. Okay, so let's try what I have no idea like if something good is going to come out of that, but what happens when you start following your intuition? So what does it mean? First off, what you are is consciousness shifting from moment to moment through different parallel realities. And each moment you've got the choice to make a decision and act a certain way, which will lead you to a different parallel reality where you will have another set of choice offered to you, which will depend on how you feel, what you like, your whole belief system, and what you've done before, all of the past and the story that you're telling yourself in your head. And when you start following your intuition, what this means is like, instead of living like a human being, planning certain things, because you think you need to, like having a job. There's plenty of examples where we plan, in advance, just to not face our fears and to not have to follow our intuition. And having a job that you don't like is an example. Just like booking a hotel, for 2 weeks before arriving at a location where you're gonna spend your vacation, is another one. Like, there's basically every time you plan a lot in advance, there's usually another way to do things, which is to just be in the moment and to follow your intuition in the moment and doing what feels good in the moment, instead of planning for like in 2 weeks or even in 1 day or in 2 days or 3 days, And the very cool thing is that, like, about this is that you have the choice and like the freedom to balance it out, like to balance living like a human being in this society we're in, where seemingly you need money, you need to plan things in order to not die on the street and stuff like that. And you can balance that out with starting little by little, every day, to follow your intuition more and more. And so what it requires to do that is to, first off, listen to your intuition. And so what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to listen to your intuition? Well, it means that you need to be present. You need to be in your body. You need to stop a little bit to be in autopilot mind and to listen to your thoughts and what you believe to be true in your mind all the time. You have to stop believing your thoughts. This is a big thing, because you've got thoughts like all the time, and you've got plenty beliefs about how reality works, and actually like none of it is true, and none of your thoughts is true either. Like, thoughts are just thoughts, they're not reality. And so if you want to start to listen to your intuition, you have to be more in your physical body. You have to start to scan your emotions in every moment. And it doesn't even mean that then you start just like doing things that give you pleasure and avoiding stuff that doesn't. It is way more subtle than that. But what you start to do, and this is just very intuitive, just like, it's actually kind of hard to explain, but what you start to do is like in every moment you ask yourself, okay, different questions. What would I do if this was the last day of my life, like right now, you know? Or what would I do if I was already the best version of myself? If I was really like this wise dude with a great beard, uh, in my mind already, you know? If I was already that guy, if I could like, um, how do you say, like, be this person or embody this person and her choices, like right now, what would I do? And those are questions that will start to like activate your intuition more in daily life and in the present moment. And so the choices I find myself to do, like, or to make more and more in the moment, are the ones that I know are right on a certain level. And it doesn't mean that they feel super good, because a lot of times I choose to do things that actually kind of like where my mind is rebelling against these choices. So I listen to my body. I do what my body tells me to do. So when my body doesn't want to eat, I try to I really try my best to not eat. When it wants to sleep, I try to go to sleep, even if my mind wants to go out, you know, to drink, to eat and do things and listen to audios, you know, to watch videos, watch movies, all this stuff. But my body somehow doesn't want to, and I know that it wouldn't be healthy for me to go do it, you know, right now. No, because right now what my body needs is something else, and you just know it, you know. And I think that every time we choose to not follow our intuition, um, we know that we somehow fucked up and we feel a little bit guilty. And we try to find a lot of excuses, a lot of we rationalize a lot in our minds about why we made that choice. And every time you try to like convince yourself that what you did was the right choice, then it wasn't the right choice. Because if you're making the right choice, you don't afterwards, you know, after that action or whatever, or that decision, you don't need to convince yourself that you made the right choice, because inherently you know that you did. And there's just nothing else that compares to that. And that's kind of what's happening in my life. Like, I feel like this present moment right now, my arm is like suffering. Like, this present moment right now is the result for me of following my intuition to the best of my ability, training myself every day, because it is a process. Since like, I don't know, let's say like a few months, or actually probably more, like 8 months or something. Quit my job, went to travel, changed like my diet just to like to feel good and to enjoy life. And it's all a mix of actually like pleasure, pain, excitement, fear, and not thinking too much about like what the consequences of your actions are gonna be in the real world. And so what I actually wanted to say in this goddamn video that hurts my arm is like what starts happening when you start listening to your intuition. And so what I just talked about is like kind of the basics. And yeah, basically for me, following my intuition is like the main way I use the law of attraction in my mind. So the law of attraction is kind of a big thing in my life, where I truly think that everything I think is creating my reality with like a delay, you know, in time. And actually, like I think we're just aware of probably like a few percent of what we think. And 95 or 99% of what we think we're not aware of, and that also creates our reality. So this is like what most people don't say when they talk about the law of attraction. And so what that means is like you can try um, to think your way, or like to like create the life you want by thinking about it as hard as you need to, you know, and as hard as you like can. And I feel like for me it would never have happened, and it would never have worked, never had worked, because what you're thinking and what you're aware of is just like a tiny part of yourself. It's just a tiny part of your psyche. It's just a tiny part of your thoughts. And what actually creates your reality are 100% of all the beliefs you have. And in order to shift your reality, what you gotta do is you have to shift your beliefs, and you have to shift how you feel, which is a direct consequence of your beliefs about reality. And reality is inherently neutral. And a big way for me to shift my beliefs and actually to change how I feel and to change my thoughts is to follow my intuition. And I'm gonna tell you why once I just fucking find the right position that doesn't hurt anymore. Maybe like this. And so why is like when you start to listen to your intuition, what in kind of like where it is going to lead you is it is going to put you like on an autobahn, like a fast on the fast lane to your higher self, to the best version of yourself, and to your dream life if you apply like the principle of following your intuition and your excitement in every moment. And what this means is it is going to lead you on a bumpy ride, and it is going to lead you through all of your fucking fears, because the true way to happiness is not the avoidance of fears. It is the direct confrontation with fears. And honestly, I think the only thing that really gives me a lot of satisfaction in my life is to face fears directly in physical life, not trying to think and create, you know, my dream life, facing them. And that's what happens when I follow my intuition. And then to be very, very present in my physical body, to witness the emotions and to let go of them. And this is like a natural process. So this is kind of part of the recipe I use to change my life, which is facing my fears and at the same time witnessing the emotions that appear just like between my neck and my dick. That's where all the emotions that we feel mostly appear, you know, as contractions in your body. Everyone knows that actually. It's quite obvious. But what most people don't know is when you observe emotions without trying to change them, it heals them. They disappear. And that's awesome. And I didn't know that. I had to read a book called Letting Go, Pathway to Surrender from Dr. David Hawkins, in which he explains why it is that when you let go of a negative emotion, it actually disappears. And then like all the belief system, all the beliefs that were actually the origin of that emotion, actually like an emotion and a thought are kind of like two aspects of a coin, like two sides of a coin, you know. And I've always thought like it's kind of like the thought or the perspective about life is creating the emotion. So if I want to feel good, I have to shift my thoughts. But experientially, practically speaking, it really doesn't fucking work in my life. It doesn't work like that. So what actually works, instead of being aware of my thoughts, which I do, I try more to be aware of my emotions and to let go of the emotions themselves and not the thoughts. And the reason why is like one emotion creates a million thoughts, and is probably tied to like a whole lot of beliefs. And if you let go of one emotion, you just have to focus like on one thing, which is the emotion, and then you're gonna let go when once the emotion is cleared. You're gonna having let go of 1 million thoughts and a ton of beliefs that you had about yourself. So what it means is like you don't actually have to fucking dig in your psyche, and find every belief that you have about reality and about yourself, and you're like, this is just so hard and so complicated. When you feel bad all the time, there's just like 1 million beliefs that you have about reality. How the hell are you going to be aware of all of those beliefs, and let go of them? Didn't work for me. So what I prefer to do is just like to let go of the actual emotions that those beliefs trigger. And this is way easier because there's no thinking involved. There's just increasing your consciousness and your body awareness involved. And so you follow your intuition, you face your fears, you feel them in your body, you witness them, and they disappear. And so that's kind of like the process that your intuition will lead you through. And it's kind of like the dark tunnel that it will lead you through, because the reason why right now you are in a certain parallel reality, you are a certain person with certain beliefs, certain major emotions, and a certain set of circumstances in your life, like certain type of relationships, certain dynamics going on between you and the people and you and how you see the world, and like all that complicated, like just the life you're having right now. The reason why you have that life right now and not the life that you really want to have is because you kind of like you are resisting this life that you want to have to come into your consciousness through like all the beliefs you have and the negative emotions that you hold in your body. And you need to clear all of those negative emotions to become the person that is able to handle the life that you want to have. And so what intuition is going to do to you is it is going to transform you through leading you through like a whole lot of like a pile of shit and shitty situations, so that you can transform, and then you're going to be able to handle the like reality you actually want to have. And the reason why I'm saying that is like I feel like this is what's happening in my life right now, because I made a video in which like I said that I wanted to stop working, never work again, not like try to have an income in order to like to basically survive, and just like follow my intuition in every moment. And that's basically what I've been doing. I've quit my job in late March, and it has led me like to like 35 days of traveling, because I felt really inspired to do so. And after that I was like, man, I'm just gonna go to a city to move there. Like I'm gonna move to London or Amsterdam or Berlin and just see what happens. And what actually happened in the next like month, so instead of moving to a city in June or July, which was actually my plan, my intuition led me to spend time with my grandparents and my parents, and to like spend weeks with them. And there's a lot that goes into this, like a lot of factors that like kind of like convinced me to do this and to stay like in the apartment of my parents with them, and to not just like pack my bag and get the fuck out. And I realized that first I had to confront myself with my family and with my fears, with my social fears of being called crazy and mentally insane by my family. So what my intuition like led me to was direct confrontation with my family first. And it felt so right, because in the last like 1 month and a half, I met just so many people in my family and spent so much time with my family, and just like practice radical honesty and cleared so many negative emotions, just like by being with my family and telling them what I think about reality, what I plan to do, the fact that I don't think that we need to work and that we can attract abundance in our lives and survive just when we feel it's right, when we're present to the moment and where our beliefs are aligned and emotions, And so I already like thought that and knew that before like spending all that time with my family. But what I didn't realize was that I was trying to go to another city and to have my own place to live in order to not have to show this aspect of myself and this part of myself to my family. And this was like my greatest fear. And I didn't even know it that much. And so in my mind, it was like this obscure thing that is not allowed to happen. I in my mind, like 1 month and a half ago, I was like, I can't talk to my family about what I think because they're gonna like throw me in in an asylum. And I know it wasn't true, but I was like, it was like my irrational fear. And so here I am, like at my parents still, and still following my intuition, and it's just like kind of like signaling to me that I have to spend more time with my family and to like listen to my body. I'm also going like through a lot of what people call ascension symptoms. Ascension is like the belief that our earth is raising its vibration and that we're going into a different density where like the energy on the earth is not the same. The frequency of vibration of every molecule in like earth, maybe the universe, I don't know, is like increasing, and therefore and that's actually the direct consequence of consciousness raising in human beings. But consciousness is basically like the essence of everything, so everything is energetically kind of like, you could say, ascending on earth right now. So I don't know if that's true, but what I read was like that the physical body is actually impacted by that. And what I know is like when you increase your awareness and when you're more in your physical body reacts, and there's a lot of stuff that's coming up. And for me, it's not just like negative emotions, but also physical symptoms. And so like right now, my sleeping schedule is like completely like all over the place. How I eat is completely all over the place. Like most of the time I'm not hungry at all and I just want to drink. Actually, I'm gonna drink right now. And so like basically what I want to say is like right now my intuition is telling me, stay with your parents, tell them everything you think, everything you feel, just enjoy the ride. You're with them, they're here to like, they're your parents, so they love you, they want you to be good, to be okay. Just like face these fears that you have, which are in fact really I think the like my biggest fear ever in my life was that my parents think I'm crazy and that my parents look at me like and reject me. This will always probably like unconsciously have been like my greatest fear. And so I'm facing that right now by living with them and by being truly myself in the presence of my parents, which is like the hardest thing ever for me. And my body is also going through like all sorts of physical changes, I feel. And so I'm increasing my body awareness and I'm trying to sleep whenever I want to sleep, sometimes in the middle of the afternoon. Then I don't sleep until like 6 a.m. And at 6 a.m. I start to sleep again. And then I wake up at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. like crazy. And to just eat like when I need to eat and what I need to eat. So right now, what I mean is like my intuition is leading me through this situation that I could never have foreseen, like at the whole beginning of this new journey of mine, which lasts since a few months. And so what I want to say is like, this video is super long. I want it to be interesting. I don't know if it's interesting, but basically like you have no idea what is standing, or what is like, what obstacles there are between you and your dream life. And if you start following your intuition 100 fucking percent in every moment, no matter the consequences, and this is like a step-by-step process, so it's like it's completely all right to like be super analytical in your mind and just like to start doing it little by little. It's completely like just a skill to develop. um what is going to happen is just like naturally you are going to be led to that which you need to experience in order to like face all of your fears, and and to just like be able to create the life that you want. This is what I want to say. And so it's kind of like a magical process where the only thing that you have to do is to keep taking action in every moment, doing what you think is right, what you feel is right, and also to increase your consciousness and to let go of what doesn't resonate, what doesn't serve you. So basically, what feels bad. And this is what I am doing. 25 minutes. Wow. This was like just like an example of what happens in my life when I follow my intuition. Lots of things that I would have never chosen to do by planning with my mind. This is what I want to say. And so makes things easier. It makes choices easier because then you start having a feeling about like what's actually right to do in your life right now. Relax, let go, meditate, sleep, face your fear. Kind of easy. And it just leads you through like so many fears that you're gonna think like right now. The reason why I know that everything I did in the last month was like the right path for me is that if I didn't do it, if I hadn't followed my intuition like I did since a few months, I would have never faced hardcore situations like I did. And I would have never had the opportunity to just let go of all the fears that I let go in the last month. And so for me, this is just the proof that it is the way to go right now. Because right now, the version of me that is doing that is already a lot freer and a lot less scared than the other version of me who wouldn't have done this before. And so there's kind of like, in every moment, there's just like you're just splitting in a million of possibilities. There's just a million or an infinity of parallel realities that exist right now where you're doing something else and that are based on previous choices in your life. This is just a mental exercise that you can do in order to see life. And I know right now that I find myself to be in the parallel reality that's just right, because I just like did everything. Every single move I did was based on like courage and on trust in the universe and on like the thing that I would have done if tomorrow was like over, if today was my last day on earth. So that's why I think I'm on the right path right now. So my advice is like start to listen to your intuition more and more every day, and to let go of like the rules that you have in your mind, the things that you think that you have to do in order to avoid just like facing your fears, in order to avoid to not have money anymore, in order to avoid to not have friends anymore, in order to avoid like this feeling of depression that starts arising when you're alone and when there's nothing to do. And it's all gonna like how do you say, it's all gonna like crash anyways if your life right now is built upon things that you do in order to avoid negative emotions. It means that you're living out of fear, and it is all going to just like annihilate itself, because at a certain point it's going to be unbearable for you, because you're going to know, because consciousness is increasing, you're going to know that you're not on the right path, and this hurts more at a certain point than facing your fears. And you're going to have to see that. And it's okay still, to not like go crazy and live your day as if it was the last. Completely all right. It's like pace yourself. Every single human being is on his own trajectory, has his own pace, his own growth speed, and so there's no rush. It's like everyone does things. Everyone just like tries his best to do like the things in the optimal way for himself. So yeah, good luck on your journey.